All right. What's up, everybody?
Your voice is all shaky.
My voice is all shaky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Where's the? How do we know we're streaming? I don't know we're streaming.
We're streaming via OBS software. So. What's up, guys? We. Hopefully, you're enjoying day. What is it? Day 4 of quarantine. Wow, words are kind of difficult.
That's what day 4 is looking like.
Yeah, that is.
We're gonna put this up on our Facebook.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Yeah, we're just posting the link to Facebook.
Can you send me the link?
Yes.
Oh wait, no, I'll just repost what you post.
Hey. Yeah, so we're out here. We're doing
We are out here,
man. We're doing just a little Q&A.
Why'd you put this? Look at the picture you chose to put up. We look so stupid.
Why
would you do that?
That's just the clip that it took.
Well, I didn't do that.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But we're gonna be answering a bunch of questions. If you didn't see our on our like Instagram and our Facebook, we posted something yesterday or last night with a bunch of questions. So people were typing in questions. People were sending us different things or whatever. We're gonna do a couple fun things. I think Meg has face masks that she wants us to do, and I agreed that I would do. So we're gonna do some of that. What else? I think that's all we're gonna do, right?
Q&A and face masks.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of really good questions. So hopefully you guys are excited. So do we want to we got to put the face masks on first?
Well, yeah. So this is it. Wait, this camera's really weird.
Yes to clear skin. Yes to clear skin.
Oh, you made it sound so stupid. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on. This is my favorite one for now because.
Are you gonna put it on me?
Yeah, I'm putting it on you.
All right. Wait, am I first or am I second?
Do you want me to be first?
I don't care.
Can you just pick one?
Yeah, I will be first. Okay, I will volunteer.
Because I have to put a hat up.
I'm not taking my hat off.
You probably should. It's
my hair is. Look at it.
Oh my. Okay, turn to me. All right. It's
We have to be. We're doing makeup tutorials now.
No, we're not. I'm gonna do a little heart on your head first.
Why?
Just for fun.
It's for fun. Is this the one that you like rip off and it hurts?
No, I don't have enough of those.
I want pain.
Oh gosh. Beautiful, you look amazing, sweetie.
I feel like
that should be the thumbnail.
I'm a Care Bear.
You are a Care Bear.
I'm a Care Bear.
This one, it like hardens on your face, and then you have to wash it off.
If you guys have more questions and you didn't get a chance to post them, or you get ideas as we're asking questions,
you mean
put them in the chat. Yeah, answering questions. Well, we're asking them, then we're answering them.
Okay, well, they're questions.
I'm really afraid that it's gonna get in my beard.
I know, but it won't matter. It washes off anyway. So, okay, let's get those little black heads off your nose.
You can't tell them that I have black hair. I have perfect skin, guys. Don't even listen to my wife. It's flawless. I've never had a blemish in my life.
I have to get up.
You have to get up?
I didn't say it like
Oh.
Okay. Wow. I've used this.
If this doesn't get views, then I quit.
Your job.
I quit everything.
Oh. Okay. Ugh.
Oh, yum. Hey, it's been a rough quarantine.
Don't pick it. That's
Why?
disgusting.
Gotta get it out.
You're gonna spread the corona.
Okay, if Corona went through earwax, we would have much bigger issues. I would have had it like 7 times by now.
Justin.
One time when I was a kid,
Okay,
well, I have a lot of earwax. It's just how things go. One time when I was a kid, I heard a bunch of buzzing in my ear, and I was like, "Mom, Dad, I have something in my ear," and they were like, "No, you don't. You probably just like hear something. You shouldn't listen to your music so loud." And I was like, "No, guys, I have something in my ear," and they were like, "Justin, we don't believe you." And I was like, "Please take me to the doctor. I'm hearing buzzing and my ears kind of hurt." So then they took me. They thought I had an ear infection, and the doctor like looked in my ear. He was like, "I can't even see anything because there's so much wax." So then they like took the little thing and they were like scooping out my ear, and they pulled a freaking fly out of my ear. It got caught in all the earwax.
Yeah, I already know that.
And they had
what a man.
I had to put like hydrogen peroxide in my ear every night, and my cousins used to make fun of me for it, call me wax boy. Don't laugh, it was sad.
Sorry, wax.
I can't show emotion
Shut up.
because of the mask.
I don't want to get too close to your hair. I gotta wash my hair real quick.
You know, you need to go like more under my eyes. I got bags under my eyes.
Fine, I will. I didn't know how you were gonna feel about it.
Do it. Basically just pretend I don't even have a beard.
Well, then I would put it over your beard.
Well, don't do that though.
I know, that's why it wasn't a good idea. Look up then.
Oh no.
Look up. Why do you say oh no?
I don't know.
This doesn't help bags under your eyes. I hope you know.
Good thing I don't have bags under my eyes because I have perfect skin. Basically, what this face mask is going to get smoother.
Look up.
From my skin.
Look up. You're so dumb. There. Oh, look up. You keep looking down. I'm saying look up. Yeah. Okay, now what?
Now.
You want more up here?
I don't care.
I can do more up there.
Do what you have to do.
Okay. You want me to put a little headband on you? So your hair doesn't get in it?
Sure.
Well, we should have decided that before we put this on, to be honest with you.
Okay, well then, we won't.
Okay, then we won't. To our one viewer. Come on, people.
It's probably Pat, and he's like, he's like, wow.
That was good commentary.
It was perfect
He's like,
commentary.
He's like, wow. Okay.
So yeah, this is us. This is how we're answering questions today. It's kind of weird because the camera's like backwards for us. So, I can barely, or like, I keep wanting to like move my head this way to get it this way. I have to remember that it's backwards. Tell yourself the opposite. That's our bathroom, by the way.
This is why I didn't want to start the video with our face masks on, because I knew no one would be watching.
It's okay.
I did it.
Oh, so you get a headband and I don't get a headband?
Well, you didn't ask for a headband.
I didn't know that I would need a headband.
Well, I didn't really think
I'm not a face mask expert.
Okay. Sorry.
Put yours on so I don't look like such a fool.
I'm putting it on. Just give me a second. Please. This is my sister's headband. And I accidentally took it
Thanks.
from Molly.
Molly. Thanks, Molly.
Shout out to Molly.
Shout out to Molly. Like I said, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat. We have a bunch that we are going to be using, but we want to make sure we hear from you guys as much as possible, because that's what we're here for. That's what we do.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. If
Comment
you want,
in the section below.
If you want to know anytime Meg and I are streaming, definitely subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the corner, and we stream probably every day now, just because we've been going a little bit crazy during quarantine. Last night we were screaming in our house, not out of anger, out of like.
We were not screaming in our house.
Yes, we were. When we were playing video games, we were like yelling and getting rowdy.
But you didn't say we were playing video games. You just made it sound like we're sitting in our room screaming.
Yeah, sometimes we just go, woo! No, I'm just kidding. We don't do that.
Hilarious.
Is it in my hair?
Yes,
right
it's in your beard.
Oh,
it will wash out, Justin. This is not a rip and peel mask. For the millionth time.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Like I said, I've never had a blemish in my life, so I've never had to use this before.
Right.
Neither has Meg. Meg's never had a blemish either.
No, shut up.
You should have let me do it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but really be careful, please, because this is painful to watch.
Now you understand what it was like for me watching you play. Getting over it yesterday.
Okay, no. Put on. Kill you.
I just ate a bunch of Doritos too. Might not be good. You have Dorito pores. How much do I need to put on?
Can I just do it?
No. This is
like,
part of the energy.
You already.
Oh, Meg, I have a big glob.
You're not doing it right. Oh my gosh.
How am I supposed to do it?
Not like that. Yep. If you get it in my eyebrow, I'm gonna be a little sad.
Wow.
I didn't say mad. I said sad.
I didn't say mad.
Justin.
This is my canvas. I knew I'd be this good at this.
What? Oh. Okay, you need to put more on, because now you're just... This is why I don't do it.
I am incredible at this.
Okay, you shouldn't have put that much by my eyebrow in the smallest corner. Yep. Okay, so I already know you got it on my eyebrow.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I'm looking in there.
Yeah.
Just a little tiny bit on your eyebrow.
Okay.
You can barely even see it.
It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It'll wash off. So, come on. Don't squeeze so hard. Woo! Today. You guys missed Justin's earwax story, those of you tuning in now. Wow.
We're not doing this for the views. We're doing this for the Lord. Do I need to put it on your upper lip?
Yes. Justin. Okay. Well, get my whole nose. What are you doing? You don't need to get more for my nose. Oh my gosh. No. No. Okay, so you need to get it more here. Look, you missed this whole spot. It's my whole. Yep. No. Okay. Okay. You need to talk more.
I'm focused.
Ow. Okay, great job. My turn.
Your turn.
Touch up time.
Touch
Well,
up
look
time.
at-
What
look
did I
at
do
this.
with this on my finger?
Go wash it off. You could get that wet. Get this wet, and then
No,
I can. No, because I need to wipe mine off. Too. Okay, so.
Oh, I can't even like.
We're gonna start the Q&A in a second. So if you guys have any last-minute questions that you want to ask us, you can most definitely comment them below. Or as Justin said earlier, if you don't have a question right now, but then a question that we answer makes you think of something, you can still ask us and we will still answer it. Because just like you guys, with this quarantine, we have a lot of time on our hands. So
I don't have any time on my hands. Got him. Touch up time.
So thank you to my mom, Rebecca, for giving me this.
Yes to clear skin.
Because
Tomatoes.
I am saying yes to clear skin.
So this is made out of tomatoes.
Yeah.
Is it?
There are tomatoes in it. It's not made out of tomatoes. Okay.
So could we just put ketchup on our face?
Yes. Yep.
Interesting.
Good. Okay. So I will get. Well, can you grab my phone for the questions? Oh, it's
Your
right in front
phone's
of me.
right next to you.
An idiot. So we're gonna start answering your questions now.
All right. First question. We got a couple questions from Instagram. First question: am I your favorite student at Fusion? Yes. Yes to you all. You are my favorite students at Fusion.
It's a student.
I know.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question.
Next question. Are you planning to work at Detroit Love this summer? So for those of you who don't know, my family runs a non-for-profit organization, a missions organization in downtown Detroit, and it's called Detroit Love, and they run mission trips for a bunch of different like churches and youth groups and different things all over the country. And Meg and I usually work there. I don't know. I'll probably go down there a couple weeks. I've been working in, obviously in Holly, Michigan as a youth director, so I probably will only be able to be down there 1 or 2 weeks. I don't know about Meg.
I mean, I'm hoping to be able to do it this summer, but it's more dependent on my work schedule right now. But we're both hoping to at least show face there at some point over the summer. It just might not look like interning, unfortunately.
Boom.
Boom, bam.
It feels weird. We have to like be emotionless, answer questions.
Yeah, I'm noticing you didn't really get my nose either. Right there.
Oh, I have to get it on the end?
Yeah, look, I got yours. I did a great job. Who did a better job on face mask?
Yeah, who did a better job?
Did Justin do a better job with mine, or did I do a better job with Justin's? I did touch-ups.
No, you didn't. Basically the way yours looks right now, I did it all.
Okay, whatever.
Can't prove it. It's not on video or anything.
Okay, yeah, haha. Okay, what is your most memorable birthday, Justin?
My most memorable birthday. There's a lot of memorable birthdays. Can you answer first?
No, you go first.
Okay, so here's a quick fact about Justin. Justin doesn't remember very much of his childhood. He has very bad long-term memory. So I remember stories about birthdays, but I don't actually ever remember birthdays.
I'm taking a picture for Instagram. Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't remember a lot about like my childhood at all. I think one birthday. The one that I remember probably the most is I was in Detroit and I was by myself on my birthday. That one was a very good birthday. But you gave me really good presents. She made me like a really cool D&D box and got me like concert tickets and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really remember a lot of my birthdays.
Okay, well
what are yours?
Not very good.
I was trying to remember when we got that question.
Okay, so I have like a couple favorite moments from birthdays, but I would say like one of my favorite birthday parties was, I don't remember how old I was turning, but I remember my mom and I, so it was camp out theme. Oh, okay. So it was a camp out theme, and so I remember my mom and I sat down and made all my invitations like these little, I don't know, we used to like scrapbooking materials. I feel like you're not listening.
You did it in my bio.
Oh, well, okay. So that's good. Anyway, so we used scrapbooking materials, and we like kind of put little stickers of little people, and there was like a flap that you opened of the tent, and a little person would be like poking their head through, like going hi. And so anyway, that was for my camp out birthday party, and we camped out in my backyard, and my mom brought a little mini TV, and we watched home videos with all my friends, and we had like s'mores, and it was just this really fun little party we did. But I just remember it was like very detailed, and that's why I liked it. But my best like birthday gift that I got, I think, was my guitar, because I use it a lot and I really like it, and I still have it, and it just is something I can use kind of anytime. So yep, that is my answer to that. Did that spark anything in your interest there? Did that spark anything?
No, I didn't. I was really trying to listen and think, but I did not find anything.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so this question's for you, actually. Do you shampoo and condition your beard?
Right now, I shampoo it, because you would never understand how important it is to shampoo your beard. And also, your beard, like, shampoo does not work in a beard, because it's like basically like steel wool. I don't know why it doesn't work, but it doesn't. And so I shampoo it, and then I put beard oil in it. So I put beard oil like after I get out of the shower, and then if I'm going to a formal event, I will put
you missed his little hand gesture.
I will put beard wax in it.
Yeah, you should go get it. My mom gets it for him for like every Christmas, which is nice of her.
Yeah, she always supplies me with new brands too, so I like learn which ones I like.
And he has his own beard comb.
And beard brush.
Yep.
There's a lot of beard accessories I have.
You should go show him. Get your stuff.
Get my stuff?
Yeah, go get your beard stuff. My mom will buy it for him, and he uses it very often, actually, which is nice because it always makes his beard smell good. And it just keeps it cleaner, fresher. He's grabbing it right now. But yeah. This face mask is starting to get really hard, so it's getting weirder and weirder to like keep talking. Justin looks so creepy.
I do look really creepy. All right,
okay.
So we have Shea Moisture.
Wait, you have to hold it how the YouTubers hold it. They go like
okay.
This.
Shea Moisture beard wash. I just love everything Shea Moisture. Whether it's like, I like their black soap too, but it's really expensive. So
no, it's not. I use their black soap. We could share.
But it's cheaper than like Dove Men Plus Care. That's what I usually get.
Okay.
And then I have Viking Revolution
this is so weird
beard
on this
oil.
camera.
I don't really like that beard oil that much. It's like thinner than a lot of the beard oils I use.
Wow.
So I have to use like
Thanks
a whole.
To my mom.
Your mom didn't know. She's never used beard oil before. The other ones she's got me.
She got awesome. This one brand you really like, but I don't remember what brand it was.
Yeah. But this one, I mean, it's good. It works, but I feel like I use it really fast. So.
Yep.
Then here, this is my brush. It feels so good.
All right. So, who is the better cleaner?
No, that's not the question, Meg.
Yes, it is.
That's not the question.
Yes, it is.
The original question.
Mm-hmm.
The original question was, who is messier? And the answer is Meg. Meg is messier. But then a passionate debate started.
Okay.
And led to the question getting changed to who cleans better. And that answer is Meg. Meg cleans better than
I do clean better. So, this is what we decided when we were talking about it.
Who decided?
We. When there's like a mess, when I make a mess, my mess tends to be a bigger mess than Justin's mess. So, like, if Justin leaves something out, it's usually like a hat. But for me, it's like I've eaten like corn dogs and then like there are crumbs and then I leave the plate and it's gross. So like I tend to leave a bigger mess, and Justin's better about like cleaning up his stuff more frequently and more often. So like if he leaves out a hat, he'll pick it up, put it away more frequently than I would put like
Starbucks cups.
Yeah, Starbucks cups away. But when it comes to like, hey, we're having people over, we need to deep clean, or hey, like the house is getting kind of messy, we need to clean. I'm better at cleaning and delegating like who does what in the house and like that I'm better at. But I am definitely, unfortunately, the messier one of the two of us, which is very.
Yep. Just how it goes. I love your sweater.
Okay, anyway.
Alright.
The next question is actually kind of one of a heavier questions, so we're just gonna kind of throw those in occasionally. But somebody asked, why are so many people depressed? So you can start with that one.
So one of the things I think it kind of that it comes down to is a lot of people feel like they have to do it on their own, and so they feel like
don't be looking at your phone.
Hold on, I'm gotta make sure that was the chat, Meg.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to do it on their own, and they feel like everything is kind of like based off their own strength. And maybe this is a lot of me, but like maybe you hate group projects because you hate to trust other people, but a lot of times, anytime we try and do something on our own, like on our own strength, we inevitably end up failing. And because humans in general, we just critique ourselves a lot, we end up really like ragging on ourselves and like tearing ourselves down constantly. And it's hard for a lot of people to deal with that. It's hard for a lot of people to believe, like when they start to believe that they aren't awesome or they aren't great or they can't do it on their own. And the way that culture kind of talks about it is if like you're not strong enough to just like pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then there's something wrong with you. And I think it leads to a lot of people feeling depressed because they feel like they can't do it on their own and they don't know where to go or what to turn to in those moments. But I think that's just shows the need for Christ all the more, because that's someone who, yeah, like we recognize we can't do it on our own, but he can do it, and we can rely on him. What about you, Matt?
I would also just say like there are a lot of reasons that people deal with depression, and like it really varies. Like there is some, like, I mean, it's safe to say that like there are people that do generally like have chemical imbalances in their brain too, and that of course contributes to depression sometimes for some people. And so like in that case, like there is a chemical imbalance that you need to recognize, I think. But not only that, I do think that a lot of times, like often, especially with social media, and I hate to be like that person that talks about it like that, but it's just so easy to get stuck in a cycle of comparison and like just feeling like you're alone in your struggles, or like something that you're having a hard time with is just something nobody else would be able to relate to, and like no one would understand, or people would judge me if they knew that I was having a hard time with this certain thing. And a lot of it comes with feeling like you're isolated in your struggle. And you know, that's something like Satan wants us to believe, and that's a lie that Satan really wants us to, you know, that's where he gets us the most.
Yeah.
I'm cracking this. That's where he gets us the most, is just when he isolates us, he gets us in this thought of like a constant cycle of just, you're not good enough, you're not doing a good enough job, you're not trying hard enough, nobody else would get this, like how stupid are you to be having a hard time with this kind of thing. And I think that we often believe that lie, and then when you go on social media, like, you know, it's very rare to see, like, especially big name people, like, posting about, you know, I'm having a hard time today. Like, you know, most people are posting about the really good things going on in their life, and so you really then even more feel isolated. So I think a lot of it just has to do with feeling like you're an island, and we're people that are made for community, and I think that Satan wants us to forget that. And so, like, the most important thing in combating that is, you know, yeah, you don't have to share your deepest, darkest secrets with people and
Mm.
everybody, but it's good to have a close couple people that you feel you can be open with and feel safe around. And if you don't have that community, then, seeking out counseling, even, because even though, like, that might not be your first resort of what you want to do, that's always going to be for sure a safe thing.
Mm.
Like, legally they have to keep your stuff secret. So,
Yeah.
like, I think a lot of it just has to do with us feeling alone. And um, because we feel alone, we don't want to be the one to, like, okay, hey guys, like, I hate to be the downer over here, but I'm really having a hard time. And
Mm.
I get stuck in that too. So I would just say that's like a big reason why a lot of people are depressed today. And then so many people that talk about being depressed, but then, like, don't give a solution to, I think, can be hard too. So
Mhm.
there are a lot of reasons, and I could go on for days, but I think that's good
Yeah.
enough to
Yeah,
answer that
for
one.
sure. I think that's really good. And knowing that, like, that's one of the things that we try and provide you guys with at the church. Like, that's what growth communities are for, is engaging and finding those communities where you can talk about that stuff and know that you're not alone. Because, like, like Meg said, Satan wants to isolate you and make you feel like you're on an island. And so we're trying to combat that. And that's what we have growth communities for. That's what we do small groups for, because we know that um, community is important. Godly community is important. So, for those of you guys just jumping in now, we're just doing Q&A. We got a bunch of questions that came in through Instagram and Facebook and a bunch of that stuff. So if you guys have more questions, or some of the things that we're answering are spurring more questions on your mind and you want us to answer them, throw them in the chat and we will add them to our list, because we want to hear from you guys.
So the other one's kind of like this one. Why do people experience anxiety? So if you want to answer that first, Justin.
So anxiety's been something I've been dealing with a lot more recently. Like, I'm usually like a pretty carefree person. But obviously this, like, uh, with just everything that's going on in the world, and even just growing up in general and getting married and just all the new pressures that life kind of throws at you as you grow up, I've been, like, starting to deal with it a little bit more. And I think a lot of it just comes from pressure and expectations on yourself, and expectations that you feel are put on you by other people. And how, I think one of the questions that you have to wrestle with is, um, first of all, like, are these expectations, like, actually realistic? Like, are the things I'm expecting for myself actually things that are realistically accomplishable, or that I should be doing, or whatever? And then the other thing is, like, am I holding myself to this extreme standard that is unmeetable, that no one else in my world is holding me to? And am I trying to do it without asking for help? That's one of the things I struggle with the most. Meg will tell you every day of the week. Anyone who, like, knows me will tell you I really struggle with asking for help, because I like to think that I can do it on my own. And I think one of the things that we have to remember is, as we deal with anxiety, as we deal with the pressures that life throws us, and as we deal with worrying and all these things, first of all, we have to realize that we have to talk with other people about this, that we're not the only people that are going through this. But then the second thing that I think is even more important is remembering who we are in Christ and who Christ sees us as. Christ doesn't see us as work in progress. He doesn't see us as, like, oh, yeah, Justin's a great person, but if he could just really figure out, how to save money, then then he would be a lot better. No, when God looks at us, he sees his son, because he died for us and he paid that penalty. And though Christ is working on us and changing us, we don't have to let that pressure and that anxiety and that worry creep into our lives, and like lay in bed at night not being able to sleep because we're so worried, or we're so stressed about what the day will come, or what will come in the day. And I think for me, one of the verses that have been really really impactful for me has been the one where Jesus is talking about, like, the birds of the sky don't worry about where their next meal will come from. And that's one of the things I have to wrestle with, like, as I look to provide for my family, as, I was in college and really wrestling with deadlines and, like, taxes and work and all this stuff. I really had to wrestle through, like, okay, well, I have to trust God. I have to trust God for, it's Matthew 6:26. Look at the birds of the air; they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And just remembering that, like, God loves us infinitely, and He cares for us, and we've been made His children, and so He's gonna make it all work, and we have to figure out how to trust Him. And there's some times where that's a lot easier to do than other times, and like even in the midst of what's going on with the coronavirus, it's hard because that anxiety creeps in and sows doubt, and doubt's natural, but you can't let it control you.
Yeah, I would also say a big thing, so like of why people experience anxiety, just generally, I would say it's because you have a fear of losing complete control. Like, you don't have control over certain things. So for me, like, the coronavirus is a great example of this. Like, a lot of people have anxiety because there's only so much you can do to control what's going on with corona and everything. And even just like, certain things in day to day, it's, I guess, like, if somebody, like, if I feel like I'm talking and somebody's disinterested in what I'm saying, I don't have control over their response of what I'm saying, but I get anxious because I'm like, oh my gosh, do I sound stupid right now? What am I saying that's wrong? And I want to control and be able to fix it so that they are engaged in what I'm saying, and I want to have control over that. So I think a lot of people, like, especially when it comes to certain things that, like, God has in store for us, like, when they're going according to His plan, sometimes it doesn't line up with what we want and our plan that we have for ourselves. So, like, if we don't get the job we wanted, we don't get into the school we wanted to get into, or we get in a fight with our parents and they don't agree with us in the same way we want them to, things like that, we can't always have control over that. And I think that develops anxiety in us because we're like, oh, like, how can I, like, find a way to make this the way I want it to be and control it and fit in a little box. And so I, like, as a general thing, I think you, like, really hit with the biblical perspective on that. But I would also say to, like, just focus on things in your day that you do have control over. So, like, even if they're small, I had a professor in college who kind of talked about every Sunday he would lay things out, and he thought of his week as like a big, huge plate of spaghetti. And it's, when you first look at it, it's just this huge mess of, like, I have to do this, I have to get this done, and I have to get this done, and this. And it would be really overwhelming and cause a lot of anxiety when you look at just the big pile of mess. And so he would call it, like, Spaghetti Sunday. And he would just talk about, like, it was like he would take each individual noodle and straighten it out and line it up so that everything had a place. So, okay, I have to get, like, this homework assignment done by this day. Okay, so Monday I'm going to work on that. Oh, but I also have a test Friday, so then, okay, Tuesday I'm going to work on it. And, like, so he can't control the fact that a test is going to be on Friday, but he can control, like, preparing and getting ready through the week. So kind of focusing on ways that, okay, what do I have control over, can help with a lot of anxiety. And you're not going to have control over everything, but it kind of can help that fear of losing control when you feel like you have control over certain other things. And, of course, always bringing it to God and, like, just even if it's over something like God's making happen in your life that you don't want to have happen, just you can even lament and bring it to Him and just keep asking Him why, and He may or may not answer, but God always welcomes us coming to Him with our problems and our worries and our concerns and our joys. So, maybe pray that God opens your eyes to seeing how He's at work already, even when you're not expecting Him to be at work. So those are just a couple things, but I think we should move on to the next question.
We got a couple questions in the chat. First, are you going to be posting videos for Wednesday night Bible study every week until we can come back? Yes, we will have. It'll be at 5 o'clock because we want to make sure that you guys can jump onto the Hope Night that we have going on every single night. That's at 7. And so we're going to do like a small little game that involves the chat. We'll be doing the Bible study in Romans, and I'll be interacting with the chat. Lizzie had some really great questions yesterday that kind of helped me flush out because it's definitely a new, medium having to teach people, and you don't see reactions and stuff like that. So if you guys want to jump in, we'll be having live streams. We also are going to be doing live streams every afternoon around this time, and so if you guys want to jump in, either whether we're playing video games, whether we're doing something like this, or just hanging out together. We are going to be doing something because we want to make sure you're connected. Next question from Matt Irwin is, well, I don't know why I call him Matt. They're supposed to be anonymous, but it's in the chat. So, what are some things that you believe Jesus did during his death? So one of the things this is definitely like a hotly debated kind of thing. And we talked about this a little bit last week at Bible study when we were talking about like the reason why Jesus died, and then we were talking about what we've been going through in our sermon series for gatherings, the 7 sayings from the cross, what actually happened to Jesus when he died. And I think that there's 2 main views. One, Jesus went to be with his Father during those 3 days and then was sent back. But then the other one is he went and he descended into hell. Back in the day they had something called the Apostles' Creed, which kind of walked through all the major beliefs. And back then, one of the major beliefs was he descended into hell, and 3 days later he raised from the dead. And that kind of changed a little, like probably within the last 100 years. A lot of people believing that. I would probably hold to the belief that he did descend into hell. He took on the weight of our sin, and he died. And I believe that part of raising from the dead, and what makes beating death so significantly, is that he suffered for those 3 days, and then he was able to overcome sin and death, but also hell. And And so I don't know for sure. The Bible doesn't say. The Bible isn't clear, and I could totally be wrong. And there's a lot of really intelligent people that disagree with me, but that is kind of what I would hold to if I were asked that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next question is, does the River have any youth internships open?
Yeah, we will have some youth ministry internships kind of open coming up. Obviously, the coronavirus things are kind of up in the air, and we're not necessarily thinking about that right now. But if that's something you're interested in, you can chuck me an email or throw an email to one of the people. Yeah. Throw an email to Jill Osmond or someone at the church that will help get you connected.
Or message Justin just for more information.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what is the craziest prank you've ever pulled at Moody? Justin, specifically, because I'm not good at pranks. I already know what one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I know what one you're thinking of. There's a couple. We did a lot of. I would never condone doing this to anyone. I was a little bit crazy back in college, and I would do dumb things. So one of the things, we always love to prank people with laxatives. And if you don't know what a laxative is, it makes you go to the bathroom very quickly. And
okay,
number
I'm
2.
gonna start taking mine off.
Oh, okay. And so one of the ones that we did, one of my roommates, he left for like the weekend, and he had a giant bottle of Hawaiian Punch, and so I took out half of it and like laced it with laxatives, like a ton of laxatives, and then boiled it so that he couldn't tell, and then I put it back into there, and then just put it back on his shelf or whatever. So then when he came back from the weekend, he was drinking Hawaiian Punch, and then all of a sudden he was like having to go to the bathroom like bad. And I remember there was one day in particular, like one of my friends and I, we were playing video games, and he literally came like booking into the room, like literally running into the room. and like runs into the bathroom, and you just like obviously hear like a massive explosion of diarrhea, and he's like in there for like a really long time. My friend and I both know like what was going on, so we are absolutely like dying. And then he comes out and he's like, "Man, this student dining room is just killing me." And he like never found out that it was us. It was really funny. And then we did the same thing. Like so I lived in a building that had 3 floors. Keaton lived on the second. Keaton from Goodrich, and I lived on the first. And our floor was the only floor that had a full oven, like a full kitchen with an oven. And so a lot of the other floors would come down if they wanted to like cook in our oven. And the second floor, Keaton's floor, came down and cooked Thanksgiving turkey on our floor. So we took a lot of laxatives and we put it like all over the turkey or whatever, and they took it up to their floor, and then later on we found they took it to they were paired with a female floor, and they all ate it together. And then we heard like a bunch of stories of them, all having to go to the bathroom or whatever, and it was really terrible. I feel bad about that one. I didn't know. And then that one, yeah. So those were kind of like the worst pranks. We did a lot of pranks. What?
Was Keaton on the floor at the time?
I don't know. I have not asked Keaton about it. But call him. But yeah, he. I don't know if he was there. We did a lot of other things. Like we would fill people's toilets with like snow and pack them full of snow, and they'd have to wait for the snow to melt before they could go to the bathroom, or like it would just be messed up. We do a lot of stuff like that. If you have more, like I said, if you have more questions, if these questions are spurring thoughts with you guys, throw them in the chat. We are trying to answer as many as we can. But yeah, I'm gonna have to pull my face mask off here in a second.
You don't pull it off. You wash it off.
Why? Why can't I pull it off?
Because it won't work. That's not how it works, dude.
I pull a little bit of it off right there.
Good job. All right, just go get it wet. No.
I want to pull it off.
Okay, so don't mind how red my skin gets when I do this, because I just have really sensitive skin. So, Justin, just come wash it off out here so you can see your before and after. Justin, come over here so they can see your before and after.
I wanted to rip it off.
You can't.
I can. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
It's through Christ who gives me strength.
Oh. One of my friends... Oh, see? Look at that. She said you can't peel it off, but...
It's not supposed to be a peel away. It doesn't mean that you can't. It just means that's not how it's...
One of the guys in my youth group growing up, he got that verse tattooed on him, but they forgot the R in strength.
Yeah, I know.
So it's Christ who strengthens me.
Christ who strengthens me.
And then he got it like squeezed in, like you could barely see it.
Okay. While you're doing that, let's talk about your most embarrassing moment while at Moody.
Meg, you tell yours while I'm wiping it off.
Okay, so mine's pretty bad. So we had like...
I look like a crazy person.
You do. We had girls in a guy's dorm room, like dorm buildings, I mean. And so there were only girls on our floor. But anyway, I was going to the bathroom, and like, when you go and then you realize like there's no toilet paper in your stall, so then you're like, usually you can ask somebody for toilet paper or something.
It's even more relatable now because of coronavirus.
True. But anyway, so I was in the stall, and I'm like sitting there, and I realized I don't have any toilet paper. And so then I was like, hello? And no one was in there at all. So then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And I was like running late to my class, so I really had to hurry. So I was like, okay, I'll just quick get up and just run to the next stall or something. I don't know. So I get up and I open the door, and I'm like kind of standing there like, am I gonna do this? And all of a sudden, I hear voices of like a couple girls coming in, and so I ran into the next stall. But I ran so fast, and the floor was wet, so I slipped. So I slipped, and I fell. But like, I was going to the bathroom, so I didn't have pants on, and it was awful. Nobody saw me, thank the good Lord, but it was really embarrassing, and yeah, so that was probably my most embarrassing moment while at Moody, just because it was just so, like, caught off guard, and it was like, how do you mess that up, Meg? Just check your stall. Okay, but anyway, that's mine. Justin, you go ahead.
Well, one of the times, what on our floor, obviously, because there's no, like, girls in our building or whatever, they would have, like, a woman on the floor sign, and, like, if a woman had to come on the floor, like, for some reason, they would, like, announce it really loudly. Well, I remember there's one time when... Do I have a thing right here?
Yeah, you do. It's okay. Just I'll get it.
There's one time where I was taking a shower, and I came out of the shower, like, just in my boxers or whatever, and I, like, see the woman on the floor sign, and I was like, crap, there's a girl on the floor. So I, like, went to, like, run to my room, and as I was running to my room, like, this female maintenance worker who was, like, she was, like, a random student, but she worked, like, for the maintenance department, just, like, walked out, and it was just, like, standing there right in front of me, and she's like, woman on the floor, and I'm like, and I just booked it into my room. I felt so awkward after that. I was like, well, you heard the shower running. Why didn't you, like, knock on the door?
Yell louder?
She was really quiet, but I felt really bad.
I just never liked that system, because it was like, if you are hard of hearing, like me, then you miss stuff like that. But anyway, okay, so this one is more for me. So it says, this is more for Meg, but could you sing something for us sometime, if that's something you're interested in? I'll show you guys a quick little video of me singing
Her mom
for the Lord. On Facebook. She posts it, like, every year. But anyway, and I'll tell you my fashion inspo. Okay, so if you guys don't know, Maddie from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, not Sweet Life on Deck, but when she was on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, she was my fashion inspiration, and I was really determined to wear that little tie. So, that's my inspiration for that outfit. Yep. Anyway, that was, most of my childhood. Bless.
She's so very, very talented. Heard it.
So Justin, can you tell us the meaning of your tattoos and which one's your favorite?
Yes, I can. So, this one is just a bear, and it means that I like bears. It was my first tattoo. I got it when I was I must have been just 18. And I've always loved bears for, like, a really long time. So, that is that one. Then I have one on the back of my arm, which... It represents my family's ministry in Detroit. One of the things so Detroit Love is the ministry that they do, and it's when we first started doing mission trips to downtown Detroit. If you've ever been to Detroit, and you probably have, the smoke that comes out of, like, the sewer manhole covers, everyone told us it was called Detroit Love. And so we would do, like, really fun stuff where we'd, like, drive cars and park the cars over it, and it would stink or whatever. We'd take pictures in it. Obviously, we were not from Detroit, and we just thought it was fun or whatever. And then when we were coming up with, when we were trying to figure out the name for the organization, I thought it would be awesome if we named it Detroit Love after, the smoke that we've been doing all the stupid stuff in. And so we did. And so one of the things that I love is in downtown Detroit. Obviously, a lot of you guys have seen The Spirit of Detroit, and I love that behind The Spirit of Detroit is the Corinthians verse where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And as we were doing ministry there, I just loved the idea that in a city that was so possessed by and enslaved to sin, there's this amazing picture downtown of where true freedom lies, and it's through the Lord. And so the manhole cover I have on there is one of the ones from downtown that has the hand from the Spirit of Detroit in there. And the person who did mine was like super, super sketchy. It was in downtown Detroit, and they almost spelled it wrong. One of the people I went with like caught it right before he did it, so I was like, that one.
And then you have one.
I have one on my back or on this shoulder. That it says Dryer One, which is the floor I lived on in college, and just kind of.
You got that with a couple of guys from the floor.
I got it with one guy from the floor the
Yeah.
first time, and. It was like $20, but it was just a cool way for us to remember the way that Moody Bible Institute had changed us and the community that I had on that floor. And then I have one on my inner thigh that is Psalm 118:22, and it says, "The stone the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone." And it's just to remind me, and I have it there because it's just only a place where I can see, and not really anyone else sees it. And it just reminds me personally that even though I sin, even though I make mistakes, even though I do dumb things and reject Christ every single day, He still makes my faith strong. He still makes Himself the center of my life. Even though I actively don't choose Him a lot of times, He still chooses me and chooses to help make Himself the center part of my life every day. So I really love that verse. And then I have one on my outside calf that is Martin Luther's seal, and not Martin Luther King, Martin Luther. He was one of the founders, or he was the founder of the Protestant faith. So you're either Catholic or you're Protestant. So we're Protestant, and he was just a guy who he did a lot of really dumb things, and I know people will always jump on those things, but he was also a very influential person. He's someone who had so much courage and stood up for what he believed in to the point of he was willing to die to die for it. And it reminds me to have that same courage for my faith and the things I believe. And then I have one right here. Wow, this is difficult.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my gosh, here, hold on, I'll just get up.
I didn't know what that was.
It's an Olympic torch.
Yeah.
And it's for my family just loves the Olympics. We've always really, really loved the Olympics. But the thing that kind of stands for is in the Olympics, you have the torchbearer, and it's always someone famous, but you never really remember who it is. Like, no one ever is like, "Oh, did you see who was carrying the torch?" They're like, "No, did you see like the torch? You see the torch lighting ceremony and stuff?" And it reminds me of like why we do ministry, and why and the torch is Christ. And in the end, no one's gonna remember me. No one's gonna remember the sermons I preached. No one's going to remember, the ministry I did. They're going to ultimately remember Christ, and that's what I want them to remember. And so it's not about me. It's about who I'm passing that torch to, and it's about the disciples that I make every day and share Christ with, because ultimately He is who matters, and He's what matters. And I got that when I went with a couple guys who also got their dryer tattoos, and it was kind of me kind of passing the torch to them of saying, like, we've had this fantastic community, and I've kind of pushed that and led that, and I want you guys to know I'm pushing that torch to you. If you want that community, you have to kind of do that as well.
And so what one's your favorite?
My favorite one is probably the one on my inner thigh, or the Martin Luther one, just because they're super well done, and I really love the story behind them, and I don't know.
So somebody else asked, why do bad things happen in the world?
Why do bad things happen in the world? You want to... I've done a lot of talking.
No, I know. You go ahead.
All right. I think one of the things we attribute, or we say, we like to blame bad things on something other than people. we don't like to think that people are innately bad or that humanity is innately bad, because that means that we're innately bad, and that never really sits well with us. But bad things happen in the world because we choose to do them, and because we choose to sin, and our sin affects other people. And so a lot of times we think that our sin doesn't, like, oh, this little white lie doesn't really hurt someone, or if I gossip behind someone's back and they don't ever hear about it, it doesn't really hurt them. When in reality, our sin affects a whole lot more than we think. And so we try and blame bad things on, like, oh, why could a good God let bad things happen in the world? Well, if God were to get rid of all evil, he would get rid of us too. Like, I would be destroyed because I've lied and I hurt Meg's feelings and Meg hurts my feelings sometimes. That's just how life goes, because we're not perfect people. And so sometimes we like to think that, and we like to blame God for bad things happening in the world. We like to blame other things. So in reality, it's just us. We just make bad decisions and we do bad things. And sin has repercussions. And that's not to say that, like, everything in the world that happens bad is because of something we did. Like, people don't get cancer because they sin. That's not what happens. But what does happen is, because we have sinned and because we have allowed bad things to come into our world and sin has come into our world, we feel the effects of those things, and there is suffering, and that's just how it goes. And so we have to rely on God, and we have to look for the day when Christ gets rid of all those things and He saves us in the process. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
That was great. I'm not adding to that. That was beautifully done. Okay. What would your perfect day be like?
My perfect day be like. You go first.
Thank you. It's about time.
It's about time.
My perfect day is based on one of my favorite days that I've had. And so, like, perfect day would just be my cousin, she has a cabin, and so going to that cabin would be perfect day for me. Going, like, night swimming in the lake and, like, running from like the sauna to the lake, and then just stargazing all night. But then just kind of that, I always love at the cabin where it's just like you can just sit and quietly listen to, like, the waves and everything, and there's just nobody bugging you. I don't know. I'm not a big, like, social person. So yeah, that would be my perfect day, I guess. Just, like, with people that I love and care about, but just in a calm, peaceful environment where it's like we don't really have anything pressing to do. We can just sit and, like, read. We can sit and play games and tell stories and stargaze and have a campfire and all that. So a lake would be perfect. Oh, and hot laps, which we used to do in Minnesota a lot, which is where you, like, blast some of your favorite music and then you just speed your speedboat all around the area. So that was my favorite thing. But yeah, with my family and you.
My perfect day would be, it probably revolve a lot around food. Food is definitely what makes the day for me. So in the morning, bacon, egg, and cheese bagel from McDonald's. Wake up around 10:30 or 11. Someone brings it to me. And then it would be awesome to play airsoft. I really love playing airsoft. It's been a long time since I played. I used to go with a bunch of guys. So play airsoft in the afternoon. And then have lunch with my amazing wife, and we would go and we would have, like, I really love sandwiches, like any type of sandwich or, like, pulled pork or something. Just go to, like, a really nice, like, sandwich place. I don't know. I've always just recently really loved sandwiches. So we go to a nice sandwich place, and then in the afternoon maybe just take, like, a nap and hang out. And then at dinner we would play, like, D&D for the rest of the night, Dungeons and Dragons for the rest of the night, and then we would have, like, a massive seafood feast with, like scallops and crab and lobster and shrimp, and I really like smoked sausage too. Like, throw that in the pot with Old Bay seasoning. That'd be awesome. And then
oh my gosh,
then watch a movie as we fall asleep. Wow. Boom, bam. It involves Meg and a lot of my favorite people in the world. They know.
Okay, so one thing on your bucket list.
I want to pee off of the Grand Canyon.
So disgusting. I
don't know why. I want to. It's probably because, like, the idea of, like, the Grand Canyon and, like, the erosion from the rivers moving through, and I just want to be a part of that.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's so weird, but it's for real.
I want to be a part of
that. Has always been
flows
something that I want to do. That's always been something that I want to do.
Okay, well, mine's cliche, so that was not. Obviously, I want to skydive. I've always wanted to go skydiving. So that's just kind of cliche. Usually everybody's thing that they want to do, but that's definitely something I think would be amazing. So, okay, let's do another more fun one. Okay, so if you're stranded on a desert island and you could have one item in the world, what would it be?
Man, that's so difficult. What would you pick?
No, I want to hear your answer first.
Well, okay, I'm going to exclude, like, Christian-y answers because obviously it would be the Bible, but that we're not going to do that. So, I'm thinking I would like to have...
A boat.
Allison Devin says a boat.
That
doesn't count, okay? It can't be anything that helps you get off of it. Well, no, you have a boat, but it doesn't have gas or a motor.
Okay, a rowboat.
You don't have rows. You only have one
okay,
thing.
tell me who buys a rowboat without the rows with it.
I don't know. But those don't count. You're stranded. Probably like a hatchet.
Yeah, a sailboat. Yes, Dakota.
You can't have the sails.
Yes, you can. Oh my gosh.
Sails not part of the boat.
Yes, they are.
Can't have a steering wheel. It's not part of the boat.
Stupid.
Yeah, I'd probably say like an axe or a hatchet.
It can't be anything that helps you.
Anna Sanchez, I said you can't pick a Bible. I would pick a Bible, obviously.
Yeah.
Go back and rewatch it. I'm just as godly as you, Anna Sanchez. I'm just kidding. That's horrible.
This is what happens when Justin doesn't have it.
This is what happens in quarantine, baby.
For me, could I bring like a flare gun?
Okay, I think the idea is
but I would
you have to
flare
survive.
Gun. Yeah, but a flare gun would help me survive by getting help.
No, but I think the idea is like you can't get off of the island. Like stranded means no.
So like no one will ever come save me, and I'll never leave the island.
You can't ever get. It's like there's like a dome on the island.
Okay, well then I would bring chicken. I wouldn't bring chicken. I don't know what I'd bring. Brought a hatchet. You can use a hatchet to build a boat.
Exactly. Boom. That's why I picked the hatchet.
Okay. Yeah, I would actually kind of say something similar to that. Or like a rope. Its use, I'm not sure, but it sounds like it would help.
Oh, Anna said, how about each other? You know what? All right, go to the next question.
Oh my gosh. Okay, if God knows everything, why do you need to pray?
Meg?
No, you please. You're the pastor.
I'm not a pastor. I'm a director.
Give me the corn dogs.
You need the corn dogs. Meg had corn dogs. She didn't get a chance to eat. So, for me, this is like, now we gotta answer deep questions. You're over here like, corn dog.
Well, I'm really hungry. It's longer than I thought it was gonna be.
We gotta get through the questions. We still have. We might have to do this tomorrow too, because we still have like a lot of questions.
Keep going then.
All right. So I think the reason we need to pray is prayer isn't for God. Like prayer, we like to think that that's what it's for. Like we need to let God know what we need. No, prayer is for us. Prayer, that relationship, it's building our relationship with Christ, and it's helping us to rely on Him. Prayer helps us to actualize that we actually need someone else and asking for help. Avery says this is 100% the best live I've ever watched. Boom, freaking bam, let's go. All right, so back to the question. So prayer is for us, and so we need to talk to God about what we need, and but we also need to praise God. We need to like thank Him in our prayers. We need to talk to Him about the things that we're wrestling with. So maybe some things that we not that we even need. But there's a lot of things that prayer is supposed to be. It's not just supposed to be asking God for things. Yes, He knows everything. He knows what we need, obviously, but prayer is building that relationship. If Meg knows a lot of things about me. So what if we just said Meg knew everything about me? It would still I would still need to talk to her, because that's what building our relationship is, and that's me letting her know that I need help, and that I want that help, and that I think she's awesome and amazing, and that all these things. And obviously, it's not the same as talking to God, but that's a good picture of it. Is like we don't just need to talk to God about letting Him know things. We need to talk to Him about us, about what's going on, and yeah. So I think prayer is extremely important. So
Yes.
Next question.
Well,
if you hear like weird sounds in the background, that's our dog. He is awake and alive, and he's like throwing his ball around and stuff.
What did we have for dinner?
What did we have for dinner last night? I had Doritos for dinner last night.
No, and a pork sandwich.
No, I didn't. I had that for lunch.
Liar.
We kind of have like very weird meal times around here, especially in quarantine, because we're like
hungry a lot. I feel like we already went through all our quarantine food. I don't know if anybody else feels that way.
We just went through all the quarantine
we stocked
food
up.
You like. So it's like,
so now
we have food. We have food, but Meg ate all chicken nuggets and corn and tater tots
and my corn dogs. I have like.
But we have like spaghetti in there. We still have like a good amount of rice. We have pasta.
All the things. Okay, we went through all the things that like you can put in the microwave or the oven, and they're done. But anything that you have to make like wait for, and like do stuff and keep an eye on it, like stir. We have not eaten that yet. So for dinner last night, I had leftover tater tots and chicken nuggets.
I had Doritos.
So what is your favorite meal of the day? Not like what's your favorite thing to eat, but favorite meal of the day. You answer this, I'll take the dog out. Oh gosh, this is not a question I can answer for a long time. Okay, Justin's gonna let the dog out. So my favorite meal of the day is probably breakfast. Well, no, it's not breakfast. It's breakfast food, but at like dinner time. So dinner is my favorite meal of the day because usually that's when I see everybody and when I get to like kind of unwind. Okay, so we got disconnected eating competitions, and my highest number of pancakes that I had eaten was like 13, and I was really proud of it. But anyway, if I have to guess what Justin's is going to be, it's going to be like probably dinner for the same reasons. But yeah, this is so awkward with him not here. I don't know how people do single like vlog videos by themselves. So does anybody have any other questions? Because I have nothing to say right now. You guys have been very interactive today, which is nice. Do you guys like watching Justin do live stream of video games? Because he's been doing a lot of those lately. But I haven't been joining him in much. He's back, I think. So, sorry to everybody who's just watching me sit here talking awkwardly. Justin, what's your favorite meal of the day?
Lunch.
Oh, I was wrong. Lunch. Why lunch? How's our quarantine? Quarantine is okay. We literally are getting bored, but I think like of all the things to have be hard for you in quarantine, I think being bored is like not the end of the world. So, but it's been good. I hope your quarantine's been good.
Yeah, well, so lunch is my favorite, and this is the reason why. First of all, lunch is the most diverse. Like, the most diverse. You can eat leftovers, which can be really good. You can eat breakfast food because it's still kind of like breakfasty. You can eat dinner food if you really want to make it. You can eat sandwiches. You can justify eating chips. What other, you can't really eat chips for dinner without people looking at you less. It's just how it goes.
Looking at you less?
You can go to a restaurant, and restaurants have lunch specials. It's just the best. It's just the best. Because you can also eat lunch and still sleep in. Breakfast has better food. Let's be real, breakfast food is the best. But you have to wake up to have breakfast. So, not about it. All right, next question.
You. What?
What's one thing? Well, I was still trying to read it. And I'd be like, what is one thing? What's one thing that we get the most? Like, what's one thing that we own that we get the best
most
use out of? And your phone doesn't count. Phone doesn't count. I don't know. We get a lot of freaking use out of our TV. But I don't know. We get a lot of use out of our dining table. My dining table is like the best in the whole house. If you've been over our house, you'd be like,
no, that's not what they're gonna be like. They're gonna be like,
yeah, they would be. They would be like, look at that dining table, which is like a very adult thing. I don't know, probably my computer. I get a lot of use out of my.
I was gonna say your computer is definitely the thing you get the most use out of.
I'm a lazy butt, Justin.
Yep, dining table. Boom. Next. First thing you notice about a person. What is it?
This is gonna be really weird. I notice people's teeth right away. My dad and I have like this really weird thing where we struggle to like look at people in the eyes, and we always like watch their mouths. I think it's because we're really ADD and we struggle with just listening, so we need to like lip read. So I always notice people's teeth first because I'm always looking at their mouths when they speak. So.
Yeah, it gets super annoying sometimes because I'll be talking about something like really important, and then I see him like just staring at my mouth, and it's weird. And I have to tell him to stop.
But that's how I best understand you. It's weird. I know. I'm a weird guy.
Well, okay. At what cost? So, first thing I notice about a person is probably just their eyes. Because you look into them. What are some challenges you think... What are some challenges you think the next generation will face, Justin? Dean?
What's a challenge I think human interaction, like, it's for real. It's weird. Like, when I'm not talking about, like, human interaction. Like, I'm talking about face-to-face interaction and developing, like, meaningful marriage relationships. Because the more I watch people interact, the less I think that they're comfortable being with them, like, alone or one-on-one and in person. And that's really tough because, especially if you're going to date someone, you have to be interacting with them a lot. And I never realized how much we would even interact as being a married couple, like, just talking and having to, like, not sharing conversations, because, like, I knew we were going to share a lot of conversations, but just, like, being in the presence of one another. And as generations continue to become more and more, I sound like such a boomer right now, but, like, as generations become more and more reliant on technology, it gets harder and harder to have, like, meaningful interactions as, like, people. And like, one of the things that's the most important, especially being married, is having those meaningful emotional interactions of, like, talking about the things that you're wrestling with and things you're frustrated about or whatever. And so I really like, and marriage is already such a broken thing in culture now. And so I'm just worried about in generations in the future that marriage is going to be either something that's lost or something that's just a dime a dozen and not really counted as important.
Well, that was a lot better of an answer.
What were you gonna say?
Not that.
What were you gonna say? Say yours. People want to hear from you more than me.
That's not true. I was just gonna say probably. I don't even know. Like the most difficult challenge for the next generation. I don't know. Like, I feel like technology is such a big thing, so it's gonna be hard to like do things without technology at any point. I mean, just because it's such a prominent part of everything we do now. So it's just like, even with directions and stuff, it's like, I already feel like if my phone dies, I'm like, what will I do? Because I will not know how to get home, and I will not know how to get where I need to go.
Well, you've seen it. We should watch the show Revolution. I've only watched like a couple episodes of it. Essentially, like all technology dies, people are freaking out.
Okay, what in your life do you feel the most grateful for? Answer this one wisely, buddy.
My wife.
Oh,
just kidding, my dog. Just kidding, my house. Just kidding, my
You're so dumb.
Breath. I don't know. I'm most grateful for probably like the way that I grew up. Aside from those things I obviously have, but like my childhood was really not a hard thing at all, and I'm always really thankful for that. Especially the more and more I spend around people who didn't have a good childhood, and I'm really thankful that I didn't come out being a spoiled brat, but I also didn't come out being a person who like thought that they had a really hard time and they didn't. Like, I just had a really good, like just a really good childhood and a really good family growing up, and I've always been really thankful for that.
I would just say like God's provision in general is something I'm really thankful for, just because, because I'm obviously grateful for like, our house and family and friends and all of that, but like ultimately it comes down to God's provision, and just he's been able to, I don't know, the way he's had his hand over so many things in my life, like the way I was raised, the family I grew up with, and my sisters and my mom and dad, and like the life we have now. And so just seeing how God's used so many small circumstances in my life, and had his hand over each and every small detail, is just really cool for me to even look back and just see how God still is at work even in small things that like we might not recognize ever in our life, like as God providing and having provision over us. But yeah, so I would say just in general that. So next question is, what's your favorite season? Fall.
Probably. Well, it's weird for me because I'm from Florida. We don't really get very many seasons. It's just like hot. But here, I think like late spring, early summer. Because it's just like when you're in fall, you're like less motivated to be outside because you've been in summer where you're expected to be outside. Whereas like with winter, you're like itching to get outside, and so like late spring is when it's finally like warm enough that I can like just sit out on the porch or hang out with the dog outside. And like early summer, it's still like warm enough and fun enough. So
I would just say fall because I love the outfits people wear in fall, and that sounds really like superficial, but I don't care. And I also like the I don't know, like you can have a warm cup of coffee and it's not too hot out for that, but it's also, you can have a cold drink and it's not too cold for a cold drink. So that, but I also love like the beanies that I can wear, and I love the colors, and just everything about fall to me is just better than any other season. And it's only a short period of time, which makes it extra sweet. Okay, so what was the biggest challenge of moving away from your family? So we both, to be in Michigan now, we both had to move out of state, away from home. So someone asked what the biggest challenge of moving away from family was. So you can go first.
The biggest challenge was like I really struggled to stay connected over long distances. So like having to connect via like stream and stuff like for coronavirus has been really difficult for me. But like I always really struggle. Like I barely call my family. Like even Meg texts my sister more than I do. I don't know why I struggle with that, but it's just always been something that I've struggled with. Even like when we were long distance, it was really hard for me because it feel like to me interactions like that feel so disingenuous, and I lose focus really easily, and it's because I'm just like ADD or whatever, and that's no excuse. Like I don't want that to sound like I'm making excuses, but it's always really hard for me because my family has always been something that kind of like de-stresses me and helps me work out a lot of my problems, especially my dad. And so there's a lot of times where Meg has to like force me to call my dad, even though I like absolutely hate it because I need to call him to just make sure I'm not crazy sometimes. And so that's really hard. Like, because my dad and I would just used to just walk the dog or hang out together and talk through that stuff, and I would feel a lot less stressed. But a lot of times I let my stress build up too much just because I hate talking on the phone. So that's the hardest part for me.
I would just say, I guess for me, the biggest challenge of moving away from my family has just been being like the first sibling kind of off in the world, like out of state for, as far as we know, like indefinitely. My family, we've always grown up really close by each other. So my grandma, Grammy, she lives 5 minutes away from my house that I was at in Minnesota. My cousins always lived like 4 houses down from us. And we did literally everything together, like since I was very little. And like, I have like all my sisters and we would just hang out all the time. And, if I wasn't doing something, there was always somebody else in the house not doing something. So we would just hang out and find stuff to do together. And I don't know. So the biggest challenge of being away from my family is just being away from my family, I think, for me is, I call them all the time. I, definitely like text them a lot, and they're very updated on my life here. But it's just, there's just definitely a difference in being physically present with each other. There are things that we want to be able to share with our family that we can't. Like my family, the only person in my family that's actually met Chief, our dog, has been my mom. And so it's kind of weird. It's just like I'm used to sharing all these experiences with our family members, and now it's kind of like, well, you've seen him via video. And yeah, it can feel kind of disingenuous sometimes, but I think that hits more for Justin than it does for me because that's not something I've had as hard of a time with. But yeah, that was just a really big challenge. And just, Justin and I have been going through a lot of big, like, serious things in our life right now. And, like, I've had to go to the hospital and all this stuff. And so it's just been hard being away and not having family physically present to be able to kind of go alongside us and be like, hey, here are some good hospitals to go to. Hey, here's, like, even
dentist.
like a dentist or a good place for you to get your brows done, Meg, like like things like that, where it's just these small things that I didn't really realize that they mattered that much to me, but like those things matter that much to me, like recommendations and stuff, and they do. So yeah, the next question is kind of more lighthearted. So it's, who is more competitive? I think it just depends. I think it depends on the game we're playing.
I don't know.
I think it totally does. Because if we're... Okay, so...
That's a compromise answer. We don't compromise in this house. We win!
If we're playing League of Legends, Justin's definitely more competitive. But if we're playing, like, Mario Kart, I'm more competitive. And I will storm out if I lose.
If it's just, like, a general thing, though,
I'm more competitive.
When we were at the Hubbards the other night, we were playing a game. Who...
Okay, because the Hubbards just met me, and they can't see this crazy side of me yet. That's why. You didn't even get that into it either. Stop. I still see you, because there's the camera right there. Okay. No. Where did we go on our first date? So we went to Whisk, and it's, if you watch Parks and Recreation, Whisk is a Ron Swanson-based restaurant, who is a character who loves breakfast food. Can you grab one of the pictures? Oh, yeah. So the restaurant is just completely based on Ron. It's really cool. But Justin at the time didn't even know if I... Wait, hey, don't do that yet. Justin at the time didn't know if I even really liked Parks and Rec or anything, and he even made a joke to me, like, when he asked me out on a date, he was like, because I love McDonald's, and I know people think it's gross, but I don't care. Chicken nuggets all day. And he made a joke about taking us on a date to McDonald's. But anyway, we ended up going to this whisk place, and it's actually closed now, unfortunately, but it was so good. And they would have art from like local artists painting, like their paintings would be featured all over the walls of Whisk, and but they're all of Ron Swanson. And so for our anniversary, I bought him one of the paintings that was on the wall of Ron. See, there he is, wrestling a bear. So there's that one. And then Justin also has one signed from, your sister gave that to you, right?
No, one of my friends, Cortland, gave it to me.
Oh.
Just says, Justin, meet.
Yep. All right. What is one thing people would never know about you just by looking at you?
You go first.
No.
Yes, I'm putting this up.
No. No, I don't know yet.
One thing people don't really know about me is I love having fun, but I also love being being serious, and so I prize myself on my ability to be that. So I love the fact that I can be messing around talking about poop 1 second, and then all of a sudden we can be having a deep theological conversation. Then when it gets too heavy, I can lighten it just at the right time. That's something that I really pride myself on. And I'm someone who especially with any type of media, so TV, music, movies, I really analyze them. So I have theology of, I love doing movie and theology, where I'll sit and I'll watch a movie and I will think about the cultural implications or the theological implications, or how whoever wrote this movie, what their worldview was and what their view of humanity and higher power or whatever it is, because that's really interesting to me, is people's worldview and how they see things. So
what would you say for me? Because I don't even know. One thing people wouldn't know about me by looking at me?
That you really empathize well with people.
Okay, thank you.
When people share with you something they're going through, you could have never ever experienced anything like that, but you are so extremely gifted at putting yourself in other people's shoes.
Thank you.
That you could really understand what that's like. And
and
the reason I say that is because I'm the exact opposite. I'm tough it up, buttercup.
I was just gonna say something
loves people very much.
I was just gonna say something that I like comics and video games. People usually are like, you're a blonde, and so you don't look like you would like it. But I do.
Well, and people a lot of times think that she's just into video games and stuff for me, and that's not all the case. She loved video games and doing that stuff before.
I remember my first comic book character I learned about when I was little was Storm from X-Men. And I remember being like, she can control the weather. Anyway, okay, so what Enneagram are you? For those of you that know Enneagram, we'll just talk quick. I'm type 2. Justin's type 8, wing 1. He is typed as the bear. Okay, why do you think most people...
And I didn't pick that. I legitimately got that.
He did. And it really describes him really well. If you guys haven't taken the Enneagram, that's something to do in your spare time. And then you can message me and ask me what it means, because I love the Enneagram. It's just like a personality test, but it's more about your internal motivation than it is I'm an extrovert and I'm an introvert. It's more, you do things because you are scared of this, and this is your basic fear, but blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so why do you think most people don't believe in God? No, you answer first.
Okay, I
just
have to
answer
first. For me, I think a lot of people don't believe in God is they don't want to admit that they're not in control. A lot of people struggle with the idea that there is someone bigger and better than them and who is in control of everything, and it's really scary to admit that you don't have control of everything that goes on in your life, and then admit that someone else knows better than you, and that you're willing to give up control to them and live their way of life like you. And so people don't want to admit that there is a God, and they don't want to have to follow the things that he tells them to do. A lot of times we think that we're special and that we're unique, and that's just as like as negative as it sounds, it's not true. Like, we do things in a pattern, and the things that we do have a natural outcome, and we like to think oh, if I do this and all my friends are telling me not to because of this reason, well, they don't really understand. It's different for me. And the truth is, it's not. And we like to think that we are going to do things that will be different and the outcome will be different. And that's not true. And the reason why God tells us and gives us guidelines and gave us the Bible is so that we could follow them and that we could have that relationship with him, because ultimately it's better for us. And a lot of times we don't like to believe that. We like to think that we could go our own way and make it better. And people want to do what they want to do because they think they know better for themselves than God. And that's a very foolish thing to think. But it's what we do every single day. And then I'd say the second thing is people just think that God, people don't like the idea that God isn't all inclusive, that not every person is going to heaven, and people don't like to think that God sends people to hell, and that there is a 100% right way and that there is 100% wrong way. People like to think that oh, there are a lot of right ways and there's a lot of wrong ways, and things are very fluid and general, and there's a lot of gray area, and it's just people don't like to believe that it's black and white. Like, either I believe in Christ and I put my faith in him and he saves me from my sin, or I go to hell. And that's scary for a lot of people, but it's true. And so people just don't want to believe that.
Yeah, before I answer, just so you guys know, we have about 2 questions left. So if you guys have any other questions that maybe you thought of while watching, or just random questions, you can just put them in the comments section and we will get to them. But we do only have 2 more questions left. So.
And if you guys, if after this you guys are thinking about it and you think of questions later, don't be afraid to text us, message us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, or whatever. Message us, and we can do stuff like this again if this is something you like and you love tuning into. We love answering questions, even if there's we love stupid questions like that. Obviously we have a lot of fun, but we also love serious questions too, because we know that a lot of you guys have questions, and maybe you think or feel dumb because you don't know the answer to them, when in reality a lot of people are asking the same questions you do. And a lot of times we don't have a lot of the answers. So don't be afraid to ask questions.
And
questions
all of them,
is how you learn.
And all of them will be anonymous. So, it's not going to be like your name's going to be on them. All these have been anonymous. So just so you guys know, because I know for me that would be something I'd be like, I don't want people judging me. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, for me, why most people don't believe in God, why I think that kind of ties into Justin's answer. It's similar. I would just say general convenience. I think it's an inconvenient thing to have faith for some people, and when they look at it, you have to give up certain things that you want to keep in your life, and that's inconvenient. It's inconvenient sometimes. And so, we're living in an age where we're about convenience. We're people about, wanting things when we want them and getting them when we want them. And I don't know. So I would just say a lot of it does have to do with the convenience, and how it can just be inconvenient to believe. I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought right now. But yeah, I would just say it ties into everything Justin was just saying. But I would add on that convenience is a big thing, and I would say it's a lot easier to just be like, yeah, I think that's true, and then that's it. But faith requires us to say, I think that's true, and now it's going to influence and shape the way I live my life and the way I view certain things that go on and happen in the world, and that's a big change for a lot of people, and it's transforming, and some people find that transformation kind of inconvenient. So it's just, no, I'm just gonna do my thing and live my life the way I want to live my life because it's convenient. And there's so many other reasons why, but yeah. Okay, so how did you know you wanted to adopt Chief?
He came out. He walked. So
I'm gonna get him.
We had originally thought. So we went to like a bunch of different shelters. We went to first shelter. Meg had emailed them the night before asking about a specific dog, and they emailed us as we were on the way out there that dog had been adopted. And so then we got there, and we were like, we got the email, and then we're like, crap. Well, might as well just go and. He was just asleep. Might as well just go and look. So we went and looked, and there was like no really good dogs. Then we found another dog that was in Detroit, and we went to look at him, and it was like really far away because it was in Detroit. And when we got there, we were like, oh, we're gonna adopt him, and we got in line, and the person right in front of Meg adopted that dog. And I remember Meg was like really, really sad about it, and we sat in the car and we prayed, which is kind of weird to like say we prayed out over a dog, but we were sad. We really wanted him, and so we were like, obviously God has like another dog in store for us, or we're supposed to get a dog. So then we ended up going just one more place on the way home, and we were like, whatever. And we walked in, and they were really strict. They made you sign up for an adoption before you even saw the dogs. They wouldn't let you see them. And so we saw Chief in a book, and it was like a really bad picture of him. We remember thinking like, he's not really the dog we want, and he's not that cute, but we'll look at him. Look at him. He's like, Dad, you didn't think I was cute. And so then he came out, and as soon as he came out, he was like just the cutest thing. We were like, and then
no, tell him what he first did.
Well, and then like I was a person who I was like, I don't really know if we should be adopting a dog right now, or I don't want to just adopt a dog for the sake of adopting a dog, because if you show Meg a dog, she's gonna try and adopt it.
Look at his face.
But the first thing he did was he came out and he literally just crawled up into my arms. Like, didn't do. Wow, you just threw him on the couch.
I plopped him.
He just like crawled up into my arms, and I was just like, okay, he's so cute. And then we adopted him. Things worked out really easily.
Yeah, and like, not only that, but he was just like very, very sweet too. Because sometimes when dogs come out, they come out a little. Acting a little wild and all that, but he was just coming out so sweet. Mm-hmm. Here, you can pull it up on here. The last question is, what made you decide to become a Christian? So I'll let you answer that first.
No, you answer first.
I want you to answer first.
I have to answer all of the.
Well, yeah, because it makes more sense. I talk, then you talk, then I talk, then you talk.
Hold on, I gotta.
Chief's just been sleeping like this whole time.
Are you even subscribed to me?
No. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
We are awesome. All right. So, so that's kind of how. For me, what made me decide to become a Christian is, like, it just made sense to me. Like, I know I've used this kind of analogy before, and I didn't really learn it until I was in college. I didn't learn how to explain it until in college, but always growing up, it just made sense to me that, like, things are created things are so perfect in our universe, world, and lives for us to exist as humanity that it doesn't make sense that it happened by chance. When you look at the probabilities that all the things would happen, like probability-wise, it is so absolutely ridiculous. Like, there is just no possible. It is probability-wise impossible for everything to have happened, let alone all the things in Christianity that happen the way they happen. And I know Meg's laughing because it's like probably the absolute
No,
opposite
no,
way that she
I'm not
thinks.
laughing. I'm laughing.
But
I'm laughing because you kept
moving.
you kept going.
But for me, it always made sense, and so like I've used this analogy before, but it's it's like walking through the forest and finding a watch on the ground, and looking at the watch and being like, man, this is amazing that this grew here. Like the fact that this sprouted from the earth, and that all these things like magically kind of came together, and like through sheer chance, all the gears came together perfectly. It came on the right time, and it ticks and moves and it has energy, and this battery got charged, and all this stuff is happening, and it's just so perfect that this watch grew out of the ground. No, it wouldn't make sense. You'd obviously look at it and be like, "Oh, someone left this here. Someone dropped this. Someone created this and then left it here." And in the same way, that's how we need it. That's how I view our world. Is like it is so impossible that it just randomly happened. It's so perfect that we're the perfect distance from the sun. That we have the perfect amount of like oxygen on our planet, that it is oxygen rich, and that there's water, and that hydrogen and oxygen came together perfectly and produced water, and then because there was water and there was this stuff, then life somehow perfectly formed, and we can't create life anywhere else, and we can't find life anywhere else, but it just happened to spur on our planet, and then we developed into intelligent beings, and it just, to me, it's just so impossible. And when you look and you say there has to be a creator, like we can't even create an eyeball, and yet an eyeball somehow like magically formed and evolved. And I know people will say that that's ridiculous that I think that, but it's just true. There's no possible way that I feel like anything could have just randomly. There's not enough chance. And then on top of that, that Jesus fulfills all the prophecies in the Old Testament, that it was written, that the Bible was written in a million different languages and is still consistent through them all, that there's external sources that back up the Bible, like Pontius Pilate's journal, and the so many things, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, a bunch of things. And to me, all that plus my own experience with Christ and the way that he's changed me, to me, it's just like without a shadow of a doubt, there is a creator God, and he created me, and he died for my sins.
That's a really loaded answer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. For me, mine's like kind of the opposite. I mean, those things are important to me, but I don't think very logically in that sense, and that doesn't. At the end of the day, I kind of more go on my gut feeling than I would the logic of something. So, whereas Justin's like the opposite way of that, and both are good for both like different reasons, and I do think both can have, have Christian, I don't know, things backing it up. So like, you can logically believe in Christianity for like, you can have, what am I trying to say? You can have logic behind your belief, but you can also have emotion behind your belief, I think. So, I don't know. So for me, like, my decision kind of, more so, those things did matter to me, and I did understand the importance of those things, and, like, knowing that it is true and absolutely true. But for me, like, what mattered more was, like, the experience that I've been having with God in my faith walk. So for me, like, I grew up in the church, but I don't have like a moment where I looked at the clock and I remember the exact time and date that like I knew, because I think that like my walk with Christ has been a slow progression of all these things accumulating into one thing that's made my faith my faith. And so for me, I would say like the things that have been really important for me are seeing how God shows me himself and how I interact in my relationship with him through relationships that I have with people, just like friendships and relationships, stop biting your nails, and all this stuff. And so for me, that was just something that was really important because God kind of helps me reflect on how I'm talking to him and treating him based on ways that I interact with relationships in my life. And so seeing how much like God would care for me to show and speak to my heart in that way has been something that really has like shown his goodness to me in a personal way. And I know that it's not like that for everybody. For other people it looks different, and other people do need like hard facts and stuff, but that was definitely not something that was the most important thing for me to believe in God. And so what made me kind of decide to believe in God was seeing like how personal he is, and how personal he is to me and others. So yeah, if you guys have any last questions, now would be the time. But
we'll be watching the chat too and see, for next time if there's any questions you guys have.
Or if you have suggestions for what to do, because we're gonna be in quarantine for a while, so we're gonna be doing stuff like this for a while.
Yeah, if you guys want to see us do anything stupid or funny, I put on a face mask this morning, or this afternoon.
But that's not stupid. Your skin looks great now.
It's like a baby's bottom. Like a baby's bottom. But yeah, so let us know. Make sure you guys. Oh gosh, make sure you guys jump on to the Hope live stream tonight at 7. Grab your families, maybe put it on your TV or something. Do that.
Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you guys just have any other questions this week, they can be, heavy faith questions, or maybe there's like a certain passage you want Justin to break down for you guys. I don't know. Or if you guys want, we're trying to figure out a way to play like some games over the internet together. Mm-hmm. So if you guys haven't literally any suggestions, we are totally up for it and willing.
Yeah, and just let us know. We want to connect with you guys because we think it's super, super, super important. Subscribe, put on notifications. Super important. Subscribe, put on notifications so that you get alerted. Once again, like I said, we're gonna be streaming most days. So hop on, hang out with us. Even if you don't want to like watch video games, and we happen to be streaming video games, we just love talking to you guys. Just talk to us in the chat.
Obviously, this was supposed to be like an hour-long video, and it's 2 hours now.
Oh my gosh! That's how I feel about that. But all right, thanks guys. We love you. Don't forget about that. Bye. Stay safe.